Hey friend, Graham Cochrane here, and today I got to talk about why getting your identity from your work or business is a mistake. Now, if we think about it, we spend 42% of our waking hours at work. So it makes a lot of sense why we would derive a lot of identity from what we do, since we spend so many hours doing it. And here I am on a channel dedicated to helping you start and find the business you were meant to build, to do work that you were meant to do so you can be excellent at it, so you can add insane value to the marketplace, and so you can make a great income. Why in the world would I be telling you to not get your identity from your work when I'm the one telling you to do work that you love? Well, it's because Americans are obsessed with work, and it's a problem. Think about it. You go meet somebody, two questions you ask them. Number one, what is your name? Number two, what do you do? Who are you and what do you do? Are you a teacher? Are you a lawyer? Are you an entrepreneur? We like to put people in boxes so we can better figure out who they are and have a grasp on them. And then what we do is we do the same for ourselves. We look at ourselves and say, what do I do from 9 to 5? Or what do I do every day? Is that me? I think that's me. And you identify as your work. But that's a huge mistake, because if you live like this, or you are living like this, it will ultimately crush you. And let me explain myself. Your work can never be your identity because it will never fully satisfy you. No matter how much you love what you do, and I'm the guy telling you to do work you love, it will never fully satisfy you. Now, does that mean you should do work that you hate? No. Work was not meant, in my opinion, to be a means to an end of just collecting a paycheck. Yes, that is a clear and very important goal of work, is to be able to feed your family, put food on the table, have shelter, be safe. But ultimately, I believe you were designed and built by God to do something great, to do something specific to you. And so you want to find work that you love. And I talk about that a lot. So work is not a means to an end, but it's also not ultimate. It's not the fully satisfying thing. I know this from experience. It doesn't matter how productive I am in my business, I never get everything done. There's always more to be done. It doesn't matter how systematized I am or how much I plan for the future, there is always some unforeseen challenge or difficulty that I couldn't anticipate, and that frustrates me. No matter how well my business is doing, there's always someone out there out hustling, outworking me, or at least they are on Instagram, and they're crushing it, and I feel like I have to hustle to keep up, to do what they're doing, to match them, to launch something new. It's never enough, and it will never, ever end. Even if you like the work, it will never fully satisfy you. Now, I wanted to show you some proof anecdotally from my own life. I put a little graph together to show you that happiness doesn't always flow in the same direction as income. Now, the top chart shows my business revenue for the first 8 years of my business. And you'll see, by God's grace, that nice trend upward. Grateful for that. It's been a humbling joy to see that much revenue come in and it trend upwards year after year. But take your eyes below to the next graph. This is what I'm calling the happiness factor, where I'm measuring my happiness in a given year on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super happy, 1 being not so happy. You'll notice that year 1, not so happy. On food stamps, making hardly any money, completely insecure about what I'm doing, happiness is pretty low. You'll see happiness trend upwards to a level of 4 in year 2 as income was starting to come in, and I saw the possibilities that this could actually be something. And then look where it peaks and shoots up in year 3 and subsequently year 4. Those were the 2 happiest years of the first 8 years of my business, were year 3 and 4. Now look what happens in year 5. Happiness starts to dip down a little bit, even though business revenue almost doubled that year. And then in year 6, it dips down again, even though revenue jumped up again. And then year 7, it drops down to 4. Some numbers I want to point out to you. Year 3 was where my highest level of happiness came in. And I think this is because this was the year that the business finally hit 6 figures, and that was beyond anything I ever thought was possible, especially in a weird little niche like audio recording. So for me and my family, I found tangible examples of the success of the business. I could go out to eat with my wife whenever I wanted to. We could replace a vehicle. We were able to move into a house that had a better office situation so I could run my business. There were a lot of tangible realizations of the business income And we just were over the moon and just having fun that year. And the same was true in year 4. But then in year 7, even though I'm making 5 times the revenue that I did in year 3, this was the year I was least happy, short of the first year when I started my business. And what's even more shocking is that in that same year, year 7, I was making 10 times the revenue I made in year 2, and yet reported no more happiness, the same level of happiness, even though I was doing 10x the revenue. This just goes to show you that happiness does not always follow money. And we all kind of know that to some degree, right? More money, more problems. But my life is a great example of this truth. Income has been up and up, but happiness has not always trended with it. More money and more growth does not always equal happiness. And I have to be the one to tell you this, because as much as I want to help you grow your income, I want to help you see those numbers, I want to help you change your life, I have to be honest with you to tell you from experience, my friend, that as your business succeeds, and I believe it will, doesn't mean you're going to be happy. You're still going to be aching for more and more, and you won't be satiated because your identity has to be somewhere else. Now, the second reason getting your identity from your work is a mistake is that you know that you are way more than what you do from 9 to 5. I hope you know that. You are the sum of your personalities, the sum of your interests and passions and skills. You are your relationships. You are created in the image of God who loves you. These are all things that have nothing to do with what your business is or what you do at your job. You may spend most of your time working on your work, working on your business, and so you may think about it a lot, but to other people, you are someone else. You are more than just what you do. I want to give you an example of this from my daughter's perspective. Back on Father's Day, my 2 daughters, Chloe and Vera, age 8 and 5, wrote me 2 little notes. They wrote lists of what they love about their daddy. Now, this is not a self-love moment, but I want you to hear what they listed as what they love about me, what they say about me, who they say I am, and I want you to pay attention to how many times they reference my work or the money that I make. Chloe, my 8-year-old, says, "Daddy, I love you because you stick to my side, you inspire me, you're self-controlled, you love what I do, you're so patient and kind, you encourage me, you love on me most of the time I had lived. You hug me a lot, you protect me, you care for me, you let me show you something I did, you sing to me, you come with me, you love to speak to me, you're my dad, you say I look pretty, you take me to the movies, you make lunch for me, you love Star Wars, you'll come to heaven with me." Those were 20 things that Chloe loved about me. She didn't even mention my work once. Vera, my 5-year-old, says, "Dear Daddy, you are a good cooker when you make pancakes." Because that's all I know how to make. "I love you when you play with me. I love you because you are sweet. I love you when you play with me outside. Daddy, you are a good daddy. I like when you say silly things. My favorite thing to do with you is to play dollhouse. I like it when you smile at me. Daddy, you are a good worker when you make money. I love you so much." How interesting is that? My daughters see me, even though I spend so many hours running my businesses, they see me as way more than what I do for a living. They're grateful that I work. We talk about that daddy works to provide for a family, but that's not who I am to them. It's just a small part. One of my daughters didn't even mention it. You are the same thing, whether you have kids or a spouse. You are a daughter or a son or a brother or a sister or a friend. You have people in your life that value you and care about you, and that has nothing to do with your work. So you are more than what you do for a living. You are a human being, and you have value and worth. And final reason why you don't want to get your identity from your work is because if you do, you are on a roller coaster ride. When your business does well, you launch a new product, people are loving your stuff, you feel great. Business is tanking, sales are down for Q1 and Q2, or your competitor's doing better than you, or you have failed to innovate and someone shoots past you, or you have technical problems, or you have to fire someone, or someone steals money from you, or all the things that could go wrong. You'll go down the roller coaster ride. And it's that up, down, crazy way of living. When you hitch your identity to your business, you're basically asking for a crazy life. because business is crazy. It's not always a steady stream up. Even if your income is up, you saw my happiness was up and down because there's a variety of things going on there. Business is never steady or simple. It's complex and up and down. So don't attach yourself to that roller coaster. Choose to get off the roller coaster, let it go up and down, and you go live your life over here while you do your best. Now, one of my favorite authors, Timothy Keller, has this fantastic quote that I think sums it up. He says, "When work is your identity, success goes to your head and failure goes to your heart." Success goes to your head. When you're doing well, you think, I'm awesome. I'm the man. I'm the woman. Look at what I did. That's called pride. When failure happens, and it will happen, it goes to your heart. Oh, how could it be so stupid? I'm awful. I'm a failure. I don't have what it takes to do this thing. I'll never make it. Both of those are lies. Those are two different false personas. I'm the man, I'm a failure. Both of those statements take way too much credit, and they're both self-centered. You are not the man, you are not the woman, and you're also not a complete failure. You are those things if you hit your identity to your work. But if your work is something that you do, even if you're passionate about it and you do it with excellence, if your identity is elsewhere, then when things go well, you can be grateful. And when things don't go well, you can problem solve and try to be creative to figure out how to get it better, but you will not plummet or rise in arrogance with that up and down of your business. So in conclusion, my friend, you are not your work. I'm here to help you do great work, to find the work that you love, that you're meant to do, and grow an income that blesses your family, but more importantly, grow a business that impacts the world. But at the same time, I do not want you to hit your identity to what you do between 9 and 5. Do what you love, but don't let that work define you. Now, functionally, we struggle with this. I struggle with this. But the first step to finding some freedom in that, and actually getting the joy back in your work, is to admit that you have attached your identity to your work. So if you're brave enough, would you leave a comment below this video? Raise your hand and say, I have found my identity in my work or in my business, and just share a little bit. You can share as much or as little as you want, but if you're brave enough to be honest, I think other people might come out of the woodwork and share that they too have found their identity in their work, for better or for worse, whether it's awful or good. And let's start a conversation about how we can actually do excellent work, but not let that work define us. Again, I'm Graham Cochrane. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on another video real soon.